sometimes ask if people would like to hear a dog story or a cat story.
Cat!
But I thought that there's no question about the voting tonight because this is a cat bookstore. Yay! Yeah.
There are 3 cats.
And there are lots of pencils, I noticed. The story is titled Number 2 Pencils for the White Cat. Mr. Crow is a corporate accountant, but to tell the truth, he is a closet novelist. Whenever Mr. Crow runs out of ideas to write about, he switches his polished ebony fountain pen to a number 2 small pencil to return to the basics, so to feel the friction that every word creates on the paper. Mr. Crow lines up new number 2 school pencils on his writing desk, and ritualistically he sharpens each pencil with his pocket knife at his desk by the window. Wooden shavings fall into the dustbin he holds between his knees. He concentrates on the sound that the knife and the wood make. He inhales the friction heat and the mixed odor of ebony and the clay that rises from the tip of the pencil. Every time Mr. Crow sharpens his number 2 school pencils, every time he has writer's block, a white cat comes to the window, attracted by the calm, regular rhythm of the pencil sharpening. Then it sits by the window and stares at Mr. Crow's hands steadily sharpening the number 2 school pencils. The white cat is mesmerized by the movements of Mr. Crow's hands, the way the pencil is tilted, how the wooden shavings shed off the pencil like dead leaves. The white cat gets a little cross-eyed, absorbed by Mr. Crow's pencils. One night, when Mr. Crow is sharpening his pencils, not knowing what to write, the white cat comes to his window as usual. This time, the cat is so mesmerized by Mr. Crow's pencil sharpening that it meows in an ecstatic yet creepy voice as it rolls itself upside down, lying on its back. Mr. Crow opens the window for the first time. The white cat presses its cheek hard against the pencil in Mr. Crow's hand, sniffs the ebony and clay, licks the tip, and starts to bite and eat the pencil. Half an hour later, the white cat finishes all the number 2 school pencils on Mr. Crow's desk. It looks up at Mr. Crow and burps 3 times and starts to tell him the following story. Here I omit the story for editorial purposes. The dawn comes and the cat finishes its story. Of course, Mr. Crow writes it down frantically. He publishes it. It becomes a national bestseller. It is translated into 36 languages. Since Mr. Crow has no writer's block anymore, he doesn't sharpen pencils. He writes with his new Mont Blanc. He has a dozen Mont Blanc. Since he doesn't sharpen number 2 pencils anymore, the white cat doesn't visit his study window anymore. 5 years go by. Now, Mr. Crow has published 10 more novels. He has moved into a mansion in Switzerland. He lives there all by himself. One full moon night, in October, the white cat visits Mr. Crow's studio window, though he is not sharpening his pencils anymore. The cat stares hard at Mr. Crow through the window pane. Mr. Crow senses right away that the white cat wants to be repaid for his success. It is going to claim, he is afraid, his firstborn child. But he doesn't have any children since he doesn't have a wife or mistresses. So, Mr. Crow tells the white cat in his gentlest way possible that he cannot offer the cat his firstborn child. The cat stares at him without a word and walks away. Since that night, the white cat has started to invite himself to Mr. Crow's window. "What do you want?" Mr. Crow asked. "My soul? My money? Tell me!" But the cat says nothing. Its face shows no expression. It stares at him and goes away. 2 years later, Mr. Crow finds the white cat dead under the fallen maple leaves in his backyard. He realizes then what the white cat wanted was more pencils. More number 2 pencils for the white cat. Thank you.